From a research perspective, we know that more than 60% of, or more than 90% of traumatic brain injuries don't show in imaging. So that presents an incredible challenge in terms of diagnosis. And when we know that sometimes diagnosis, it may be looked at so subjective. One of the biggest, big challenges or differences between when someone has a traumatic brain injury versus other, like you said, non-physical brain trauma, is that with the traumatic brain injury, you have a cluster. It has been, demonstrated that there's a cluster of diseases that can happen with it. So from, that could produce, like Victor mentioned, his hemianopsia. So some loss of vision, peripheral vision. We have some physical, tangible, objectively things that you can measure, like vision and things that has to do more with mobility or physical, impairments. With the non-physical, brain illnesses, what happens is that it's really so subjective, or what appears to be so subjective. And that brings a challenge about itself, because sometimes what I have seen in friends and people that we have worked with, of course, not on the clinical setting, but, friends of ours and people that we serve in the foundation, is that they tend to think, is this something that I'm creating for myself, or is this real? And we know that the effects are real. We know that it affects their quality of life. We know that affects the way they perform at work, and the way they perform at school, and the way they perform in social gatherings. And we know that is very tangible, and you can measure that in terms of the person. But then when it comes to putting a name to it, or being able to show a metric or something, there's really nothing to show for. And that exacerbates a frustration in the person. And that's, personal experience of how we have seen that. And then the person gets frustrated, and there's no really a validator. And sometimes when these injuries happen, there's something about having closure with being validated and putting a name to it, and being able to know what they're against or what they need to do to overcome that. So one of the biggest differences would be that with brain injury, you can see something. You can kind of like quantify in some way certain, impairments. With the non-physical brain illness, there's really not much. And when you have so much stigma also out there, where they say, somebody not long ago, I remember I said, I feel like it's in my head. And I said, well, it's actually really in your head, but you just cannot see it. But I wish at some point in time, and that's why I applaud so much the work that One Mind is doing, because I think that that's where the need is. In the meantime, like we always, and Victor and I, we share with our team and everything. In the meantime, TBI Warrior Foundation can fulfill the needs of this population and help them find and achieve that quality of life and reintegration to society, and understanding better their condition, and understanding that they can be as, productive as they want to be. But there should be no shame on it. On doing that.